So for this activity, you all will be creating this outrageous scene, and you will be putting together quite a bit of different files in order to do this. Now, I've already got them into my Photopea assignment or document. So as you can see here, I got a gnome, which is already riding a unicorn. I actually got the inspiration from looking at this. I've got a horn. We have the landscape, we have the rainbow, and then we also have the horse here, which again, we will be using a combination of various selection tools. We will also be working a little bit with some adjustments today in order to get this scene looking like this, right? So I'm going to close this out. As you can see in my layers as well, this is going to be very integral, just making sure that you're naming your stuff correctly and organizing them correctly in order for them to show up like this on your screen. All right, so I'm going to exit out of this. All right, so I like to kind of take these by hand and just kind of organize them. So I'm going to put my my land on the left-hand side, and everything else is going to kind of come on in little by little. All right. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to work on the rainbow. All right, and this one's going to be the easiest part of this actually, because this has already a transparent background, and the rainbow itself is already a little transparent too. So when you combine two transparent objects together, it just kind of gives you a different look. So here again, if I move this whole thing, it doesn't move anything with the background with it because it's just the object, and it is a little see-through. So again, that was a big reason for me choosing this. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to click on it, I'm going to hold down Control C, and then I'm going to come back over here, press Control V. Oops, that actually did not work. I'm going to have to select this first actually. So let's actually see if we can give me 1 sec here. I'm going to take my rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to select this whole entire area right here. Now I'm going to hold down Control C. Now I'm going to come over here, press Control V, and as you can see, it did bring up the whole entire rainbow in here. Now, one thing that I am seeing is that the rainbow is just a little bit too small for what I want to create. Now, in Photoshop, all I would have to do is press Control T. But as you can see here, what that actually does is that just brings up a new tab in this document. So what I'm actually going to do here, and let me actually lock this background layer so I don't accidentally move anything. All right, so now layer 1, take my move tool. If I can take it, let's see, select pixels. We might just have to do it this way. We'll figure out how to do that in just a sec. It's okay. I'm not too concerned about it. What I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to go up to where it says image, and I'm going to go down to transform. And I am actually going to, let's go to layer instead. Let's see which one of these would actually be the best one for us. There is usually a free transform that kind of lets you, make it bigger or smaller. What I'm actually going to do here is, let's see if we can, here it is. All right, so free transform. So I went to my edit tab. All right, so in your ribbon, you go down to edit, and then you go down to free transform. All right, and what this is actually going to do is that it's going to bring up these anchor points on the outside of this object. And now I can just click and drag them. I went to the corner, and I'm just waiting for that diagonal line to come through. And I'm going to make this a little wider, just like that. All right, and I'm just going to double click inside of it once I get the size that I want. And this is pretty good for what I want right there. All right. So I can actually close out of this rainbow. I don't need to do anything else to it, and it's still going to be here, so it'll be all right. Now in my gnome, I'm going to kind of zoom in on the gnome itself. Now the quality on this picture is not the best, and this is where you're going to kind of decide what you want to do. Some people may go in there with their lasso tool. Some people may try their magnetic lasso tool. Some people might even try like a magic wand tool, which we haven't gone over just yet, but that would be another opportunity or another thing you could do. Um, Also, a quick selection and an object selection. I'm actually going to go in here with my lasso tool, and just because I get a little bit more control of it. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to start up at the tip top of the hat, and I'm just going to click and drag. All right, I'm going to try my best to kind of stick on the lines like that. And it's okay if I mess up. I mean, I can always come back afterwards and fix this. And I can already tell that I'm messing up a good little bit, but like I said, I'm going to come back and fix this. Ooh, I accidentally got a piece of that stump. I thought it was like a saddle or something, and it's definitely not. All right, so right here I have a general shape for what I want this thing to look like. What I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to zoom in on some of the areas where I know I messed up. So like here, I know that I've messed up big time. I'm going to hold down Alt, and I'm going to select like the outside of this, and then encompass that whole thing just like that. All right, so I think that'd be okay. I need to add selection area here, so I'm going to hold down Shift. All right, and I'm going to go over that shape, and that looks great. I need to take away this. I'm going to hold down Alt, and then I'm just going to go around the back end of this like little elf thing, and then I'm just going to encompass that whole thing like that. Let's see, I need to add area here because I am missing like a chunk of his beard. There it goes, and then hold down Alt, just like that. And now here I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm going to hold down Shift this time, include that part of the ear, but then I need to take away some of this part here. Hold down Alt there. Same thing here, I'm going to hold down Alt, take away that little chunk right there, hold down Shift. And I know, yeah, it's like it's repetitive after a certain point. And trust me, you'll get used to it. It takes a little bit of time to know when to use Alt and know when to use Shift. I think that looks good. Yup, it looks pretty good to me. All right, so now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to zoom out, press Control C because I need to copy this. Now I'm going to press Control V, and this is my little gnome right here, which I'm going to go back and like edit it just a little bit. I might actually like cut out some of this like white area. So I'm actually going to use my eraser tool for that, but for right now, that'll be okay. All right, so I'm going to exit out of this gnome. That's okay. All right, now the horn, this should be a little bit easier. I'm going to show you all a tip and trick for this. And this is actually where I'm going to start, using a combination of these tools together. So the first thing that I did is I took my marquee tool and I just kind of went around the area. So I just made like a smaller area around this horn. All right. Now what I'm going to do is whenever I have like a lot of the same color in an area or in an image here. So for instance, this one has like a lot of white in the background. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to, again, minimize the area first. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down Magic Wand. All right, so Magic Wand is really good in the sense that if you have a lot of the same colored pixels, it selects all of them that are like touching each other. It selects them very, very quickly and very easily. However, right here, what I want to do is I want to unselect area as opposed to select it, okay? So if you hold down the same keys as before, if you hold down Alt, and then you click in this white area here, it'll actually unselect all that white area, and it just leaves behind this gold area. So let me do that one more time. So remember, I took the marquee tool, and I just made a rectangle around this object. All right, I will need to make sure it's not touching. There's a reason for that. And I'm going to take my Magic Wand tool. It is within my object selection tool. Take my Magic Wand. I'm going to hold down Alt because remember, this is area that I already have selected, but I want to unselect the white area itself. So I'm going to hold down Alt. I'm going to click in the white area once, and then as you can see, it unselects all that white area, and it just leaves that gold part behind. I'm going to press Control C, move that over here, and press Control V, and now this is the horn. All right, so I brought that in there. Now the last part, this one is probably going to be the toughest one, like no joke. So I'm actually going to do a very, very quick one here. I will let you all decide how you would want to go about it. But for me, I'm probably going to go in with the magic wand. And this is what I was talking about. It will select areas that are actually, let's go in there with my quick selection. That might be a little better. Let's not do it that way. All right, so let's add an area. So I'm just gonna click here. I am not selecting anything else. I'm gonna try to stay as far away from the black part as possible, so that it doesn't accidentally select any of that area. All right, so all that I'm doing here, y'all, is I just took my quick selection tool, and I'm just going in here and selecting like certain parts of this horse. Oops, you gotta click on the black part, so that's why I did that. And all right, so now here, as you can see, it's starting to mesh in a little bit too much. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take my magic wand tool. I'm going to select pixels that are about the same. I'm going to take out that black part. And again, y'all, remember that with the magic wand, as long as they are pretty close to each other, it will kind of help out with that, or to help like select a lot of the areas that are the same. Alright, so I'm just being careful and what I'm clicking and what I'm selecting. There it goes. Alright, now let's see here. So let's see, it's kind of missing some of this hoof part. So let's click in some of there. And the tail, this part is, I've always kind of had trouble with, like, you know, knowing when and where to like tell students to kind of relax on that part, just because it can get a little difficult to know which ones I need to go with. So what I'm actually going to do here, I think that's okay. So I'm going to hold down Control C, select here, exit out of there, and then press Control V. And this is going to be my horse, all right, that I brought in. Now I can go in here and start editing each of these individually. So this one's going to be my rainbow. This one's my gnome. This one's the horn. And then lastly, that one's going to be my horse. All right, and now all that I have to do here, y'all, is sizing. Probably the most important part here. So I'm going to kind of focus in on the horse and the horn. So I'm going to center this out. I'm going to go to edit. I'm going to go to free transform. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a lot bigger and proportional. Now the next thing, and this is just kind of for me, I just kind of like made it tilt to kind of make it look a little cooler, and then I'm just gonna double click whenever I get that right. Okay, now I'm gonna do the same thing with my horn. All right, so I'm gonna go to edit, free transform, and start to minimize that. All right, and I'm gonna rotate it, and I'm gonna place, I think this is too thick. That's probably better. All right, so now I'm gonna double click on there. I think that'd be okay. Now, the one thing that I am seeing with this though is I'm gonna have to flip these two layers, I think. Yeah, there it goes. And actually, let me zoom in, placing it right there. All right, and then my gnome, I think it'll probably have to go in front of the horse. Yeah, just like that. And it's kind of latching onto the back end right there. All right, and then lastly, it's going to be like erasing these individual pieces. So I'm going to go into my gnome, and I am going to find my eraser tool, which looks like those big chunky erasers right there. All right, and I'm going to turn down the size by a lot, probably to like 1 or 2 pixels. Let's do 3. There it goes. And I'm just going to kind of zoom in, all right, on the areas that I need to erase. So that's all that I'm going to do here, is I'm just erasing any of these like extra pixels that I couldn't get before. All right, so again, like these white areas. Again, this is just kind of showing you that you can always go back and edit like all of these pixels. So you know, if you don't get it right off the top of your head, like, or not off the top of your head, like right off the bat, I mean, you can always go back in and edit these a little bit better. And you know, the beauty about something that has like a ton of pixels, I can make mistakes like this, and like the only way you'd really be able to tell, is if you really zoomed in on it and you were pretty much looking for errors. That would be one of the like ways in which you could see that I messed up, something like that. But you know, honestly, for the rest of this, it's pretty straightforward. I think the only part, now I'm going to go to my horse, you know, like these parts in the tails, you know, to kind of, I'm going to cut out some of this black area, so you can see the green in there instead. Some of it, not all of it. I'm going to just try my best to, yeah, something like that would look okay. This big area of black in here, I'm going to do that too. Alright, and honestly, y'all, this is pretty much it. This is what I would want to see. I'm just going to kind of move everything a little bit over. Now I'm going to my gnome. Now the horn. And then that is pretty much it. All right, so that is going to be my object right there. Now the last part, which I'm going to kind of briefly touch on here, is going to be your adjustments. All right, one of the things that I see with, you know, whenever you bring in like a lot of images together, is that sometimes the coloring or the shading or like the tints of colors may not be aligned how they're supposed to. And there's a very easy way of going about that. So the rainbow in the background, I think those mesh in pretty well together. I'm not too like concerned about those. I think they actually look pretty good, you know, for what it's worth. However, I think the horse and the gnome looks a little bit darker than the horse. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to lighten up that gnome a little bit. So I'm going to go up to where it says image and then go to adjustments. And I am going to go to brightness and contrast. And this is just like a very easy way of you know, editing something like the color of it. The contrast, there it goes. I think that looks a lot closer to this. I mean, obviously it's all a fake image, so it's, you know, there's only so much realism you can get out of it. But even with like the horn, I think it just might be too dark. So I'm going to go to the adjustments, brightness and contrast, and I'm going to turn the brightness up on that as well. You know, just to kind of get it a little bit more meshed in with the rest of the object here. But ultimately, this is what I want to see. I do want you to turn this in as a screenshot, so you will be like taking a screenshot of this whole entire thing, and then you'll be submitting that. I want to make sure that your layers are going to be named what they're supposed to be named, and just we'll take it from there. But just a very nice, simple assignment for you to start to get used to your layering, using different selection tools separately and together, and then ultimately piecing it all together to get a final image like this. All right, so very easy. I'm excited to see what you all come up with, and it should be fairly easy for everybody in here. All right, y'all have a great day, and I will see y'all later. Bye.